Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So it's a pleasure to welcome you all to our 47th edition of Sunday Synergy virtual webinar, right? So for those of you who are joining in for the first time, this is a Sunday Synergy webinar, mostly in the virtual forum that we have been conducting for the past, for more than 1 year now, and this is our 47th edition, right? So we have had discussions mostly around technology, careers, workplace transformations. Uh, Today, we want to just step away from these discussions around technology and careers and what is AI, leading us to, right? And focus on something even more intriguing, even more fundamental, the transformation that is happening inside our very home, right? So every generation believes that raising children has become very challenging than ever before. But today we are leading a life with the teenagers. They are and they are growing up in a world which is unlike any other previous generation. So that's pretty much what our focus and topic for today. And I'm your host for the session, right, for this next 1 hour. I'm Dola Pal, working with Tata Consultancy Services for over 2 decades, mostly around technology. But in today's discussion, I think it is very personal, very emotional, and it is something which is concerning all of us, right? Which is around our children, which is around our young generation. So today, if you see, this generation, our next generation, and mostly we are talking about teenagers, right? They are navigating so much of competitions. They are into preparation for their examinations, competitive entrance tests, right? Career uncertainties. To top it all, they have the influence of the social media, all kinds of distractions, right? Peer influence and the constant pressure to meet expectations, all while trying to discover, right, who they actually are. So at the same time, we as parents are trying to say what is best for their children. We try to encourage, guide, advise, and sometimes go even, deeper to push harder, hoping to secure a brighter future for them. But somewhere along the journey, conversations start to change, right? Parents often ask, in my various conversations with the parents, with my friends, that why doesn't my child listen to me anymore, right? Why has my child, who was so cheerful, who was so close some time back, has become so withdrawn or argumentative, right? Teenagers, on the other hand, they are quite different. They are often wondering, they're not opening up, they are often wondering, why doesn't anybody understand me, right? Why do my parents only see my faults, right? So this is not really a communication gap, is what I see. It's often a gap in understanding and mostly impacting the adolescents, right? So I think this is a phase. Adolescence is a very important, very significant phase of human development, and a lot of mood swings, emotional outbursts, silence, disagreement, right? So between all of this, there lies a fascinating combination of neurological development, psychological changes, emotional growth, and the natural desire to become independent, right? So unfortunately, many of us were never taught really how the teenage brain is developing, right? How the communications changes, or how parents and educators can really trust without losing that authority. So that exactly is what we are going to talk in the next 1 hour. So our objective is not to decide whether we as parents are correct or whether teenagers are right or wrong, right? So, but when such kind of communication happens, we would rather tend to understand the science that is behind these adolescent behavior, right? We'll try to explore the practical ways to improve such communication and discuss, right, whether it is good for us to guide or seek external counseling, right? So whether you are a parent, you are a teacher, you are a counselor, an educator, or simply someone, right, who is really caring about the well-being of the young generation, right? So I'm confident that today's discussion will really benefit you in some way or the others, will give us some more practical insights, right? And we'll be able to answer some of the very practical questions that every family is struggling with, right? So, with this, it's my pleasure to welcome our distinguished speaker, Dola Bhattacharya, my namesake, right? And she's an experienced CBSE Class 12 educator. She is an adolescent counselor and a mentor who has spent years working closely with students and parents, helping them navigate the emotional, psychological, and academic challenges of adolescence. Dola is a distinguished educationist and visionary academic leader with over 25 years of transformative experience in K 12 education. She is renowned for her dynamic instructional leadership, curriculum innovation, and commitment to technology integrated pedagogy. She has built an exceptional legacy spanning science education, department leadership, and school administration. A master trainer, AIEF resource person, and sought after panelist at national level education forums, she is widely recognized as a subject matter expert in education strategy. She is also a recipient of the CEMCA Award 2023 and several other national honors. Welcome, Ms. Bhattacharya. We are delighted to have you with us today. And with this, let's begin our conversation on how to decode the teenage mind, what it is in store for the parents, how do we, make this entire experience a success. Welcome to our talk show today. Ms. Bhattacharya, I guess you are on mute.
Yes. Namaskar from Kolkata. This is Dola Bhattacharya. I have nothing to say, which Madam Pal has already said. Madam Dola has already said. So yeah, I'm also waiting for the questions which you have kept in your mind, and will be shooting me with the questions, and I will be trying to give the answers so that the stakeholders in the education can be benefited by it. Thank you so much. Good morning to all. Ma'am, you may please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you so much and welcome again. And thank you everybody for joining in. So certain ground rules. I think this is a conversation which is for open for everybody, right? So we'll have an initial round of common questions, right, which every parent or every educator, every teacher has in their mind in their dealings with the young generation. We'll have a audience round of question and answer. So we'll reserve the last couple of minutes, 10-15 minutes for the audience question. Let us have a free flow of the discussion. And thank you so much again for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'll start straight away, go to the questions, right? So one of the common concerns that parents share is that their child seems to become a completely different person once they are into their, senior classes, right? Class 10, 11, 12 kind of. A teenager who was once very affectionate, very cooperative, used to come back and open up to their parents on every minor things that may have happened, right? May suddenly become so withdrawn, so irritable, and very emotionally unpredictable, right? If I put it that way. So parents often attribute such behavior to academic pressure, but experts suggest that there is much more happening under the surface, right? So, as students navigate their board examination, their different career choices, social expectations, right? They are also forming their identity. They are going through a significant emotional and psychological development. So, what actually is happening psychologically during this phase? May I hear your point of view, ma'am?
Well, dealing with the adolescents these days, rather few years, what I feel is the age is is not only the one stress buster. It is not only the first one stress which the children are dealing with. There are some developmental stages which are going within the child, within the adolescent. And it starts from, say, when the child is from class 8, class 9 to class 12, because that is the bedrock of the adolescent age. So this time what happens is, as you said, that what type of psychological development is taking place. The first psychological development which takes place within the child during this age is the identity crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, deciding often for the first time who they are, whether they are apart from the parents, what are the parents' expectation. Secondly, the brain's development, the brain's, I should say, the emotional system, which is very, very reactive and which is not in balance with the reaction of the child. I will come to that point later on with some biological words, I mean, the biological setup of a
Mm-hmm.
child's brain, and the self control system, which are still under construction. The child does not have the self control system. Okay. So there is a mismatch of all this system within the child. And thirdly, which is the most important, the Indian society hands a turbulent teenager into a single highest stake academic year, quote unquote, the year of 11 and 12,
Very true.
and asks them to make life defining decisions, stream, career, college, where they don't know, they don't have their own identity. So this is what is the preliminary thing why they have this changeover in their attitude when they are dealing with the parents. So there is a collision of several underneath psychological, neurological, as well as societal pressure on them, because of which, and this academic pressure is the most, which is making the child very, very subdued. So
Well
it is
said, ma'am.
nothing to
Yeah.
say, think about the parents, that why the children. In the course of time, I will be telling you that what exactly is happening inside their brain. Okay, so that was the answer for your first question. And I would like to state one thing at this very point, that you cannot expect that your child will be changing overnight. Okay, so
Okay.
as and when he is switching on to different stages of developmental stages of his
Mm-hmm.
brain developmental stages, it will increase its volume. Okay, so we cannot think that you will have the full volume at the same time, right? So I feel like the parents should have some patience and observe the child from a distance to find out that what exactly the child is wanting.
Correct, correct. I can't agree more. I think they are still children, right? Uh,
Yes.
the tendency should not be that once they are into their senior classes,
Mm,
into their career making choices, they should suddenly start behaving like adults. They are still
absolutely.
children, right?
Mm,
So they still have that teenage specific thought process, right? So with this, coming to our next question, right, that we are often expecting the teenagers to think and behave like adults. So that is what you just mentioned, right? Yet neuroscience tells us that the adolescent brain is still under construction, as you just mentioned, that it does not change overnight, right? So they can be highly intelligent and mature, definitely in some situation where they take decisions, and they take decisions even better than us, right? Yet in some situation they are very impulsive and emotional, right? So understanding how the brain develops during this adolescent years, right, may actually help explain many behaviors that parents find confusing or frustrating, right? So maybe going deep into what you just started with, right? So from a neuroscience and behavioral perspective, what actually changes, what kind of changes are taking place in the teenager's brain that is influencing their emotional decision making and all kind of reactions that we find it difficult to accept?
Okay, well, neuroscience is a vast domain of science, right? It has got a vast domain, and CBSE is very much inclined towards this neuro. They have got a program also, neuro linguistic program, which is very, it's highly interesting and very sensitive. Let me come to the biological part of an adolescence. Basically, the adolescent brain has a fully wired accelerator, right? And
Okay.
the brake pedal of it is still not being installed. So it's just I have given the irony in
Mm-hmm.
the particular sentence. It has got the accelerator. Now we have got. Let me come to a very common thing. We have got two systems in our brain, right? The limbic system, which is basically at the limbic system, and the prefrontal. The limbic system is at the back of our brain, right? Which we say as the emotional brain, right? And which is award seeking part, and which is centered on the amygdala. I mean, I'm from the stream of chemistry, and I have done a bit of biochemistry also.
Okay.
So the
I'm trying to
biology
relate.
students say,
Okay.
yeah, the back of the mind is the emotions where it is being built up, and which is the amygdala part, which is about reward seeking also,
Mm-hmm.
and it is dopamine rich also, right? It secretes the dopamine. Now what is dopamine? Dopamine is a happy hormone secretion. I mean, it's a happy hormone. So whenever it is being secreted, the child is happy, right?
Okay.
That matures early and remains very active, right? The prefrontal cortex, this part, the prefrontal cortex is responsible for the impulse control, right? Regulating the emotions. So this part has grown up quickly. We say
Mm-hmm.
that emotionally he's very emotional. He's very sensitive. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because this part has grown up, but this part, which is going to control the emotion, has not yet grown up, which grows up fully in the mid 20s. Now, see, the adolescence age is from 14 to 18, or say the
Uh,
early 20s, you can say, right? Now, typically not finishing this wiring and the connection, they behave in a different way. The brain imaging, right? Research shows that there is an asymmetry, right? Teachers show heightened, I mean, teenagers rather, they show heightened amygdala reactivity to any situation, whether it is a situation at home or it is the situation in the society. As a result of which, there is no connection, they react. They react, their body language changes, whereas they cool down. When you calm down there, the prefrontal cortex has nothing been built up. It does
mm-hmm.
not have that strong regulatory connection. This is precisely why a teenager can be said he is immature. It is not the character
So
change.
it's
It is
reactive,
not the
right?
it is not nothing wrong with the child's attitude. It is it is the difference where there is a I should say there is a deviance or divergence between the connection of
Mm-hmm.
the construction site and the development site, right? So if the development has taken place and the construction is, I mean,
Correct.
emotional
Correct.
development has taken place, we cannot say a child is totally different. So we have to understand that, right? The same brain is developing inside the environment.
True.
In the environment, if the environment is always having an excited, something giving a very, say, the games, the
Mm-hmm.
videos, the
Positive thing, what they like
scrolling,
actually. Right.
yes,
Right.
that is being taken by because they get the reward there very
Mm-hmm.
quickly. They get
Correct.
the reward, and that emotional brain is actually giving that a hormone that is being secreted, and that is being easily being captured by the child, whereas this is unpredictable, where he is doing wrong, whether that game is right for him, whether he should watch that video, whether he
Mm-hmm.
should give that much time. So researchers are increasingly linking heavy daily smartphone use to attention difficulties and mood instability in young people. But the
Correct.
research is still on by doing the
Mm-hmm.
counseling session. Today's teenagers, more or less, they go to the counselors, right? As a result of which, what happens? When a child in the different, yesterday only I was watching a news where it was saying that the child has, in Jaipur, some school, one child has been bullied but some way, and then
Mm-hmm.
she's a very very forward child, but what she did was she put herself
Sham.
totally
Mm.
isolated, and she went to the top floor, and then she jumped from there, and she went, it was a disaster. So why this has happened is she cannot give the control of what was told to her. That is the reason today the teachers, the school, the management system, and the parents at home should align with the what the child is having, the turbulence going within. That
Right.
is
So that is
very,
where I
very
think
much.
it's very important to understand, as you
Yes.
mentioned, that, that they are reactive, but
Hmm.
Hawaii, it is not something that their intentional behavior, it is something that is
Absolutely.
growing within them, right?
And the daily environment is actively amplifying it.
Correct.
Okay.
It is
So
becoming very
because
conducive for them to react in
yes,
that way.
and they are getting the reward. They are award seeking. They're reward seeking teenagers. Immediately, if you say great, great job, you have
Looking
done
for
brilliant.
positive
Even yeah,
behavior,
it's like the
right?
Einstein story. That
Mm-hmm.
mother said that you have done brilliant, whereas the child was thrown out from the school. He used to sit behind. I think you know that story of
Correct,
Einstein.
correct,
And
right.
when the letter was given, the termination letter was given, the mother said Einstein that you have done brilliant, and
Mm.
you are not with the school cannot afford you, so you have to go to another school.
Another
Later
school.
on he came to know what exactly was there. So
Mm-hmm.
understanding this helps a parent respond, mellow down, and a moment of regulation in their reaction.
Correct. And
The
the
teenager
acceptance
will be
from the
overreact.
teenager point of view also, there is acceptance, right? So
Yeah. The brake pedal is the control system, and the accelerator is the emotional outbreak. So this has to be properly controlled, they cannot understand. We
well,
as parents have to understand this. So this
very
is what
true.
is the very, 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 in a very colloquial language, I've said that this is the mainstream of deviance in the attitude of the child.
That's so correct, right? So, I mean, the key takeaway primarily is it's wherever they seek positive behavior, positive attention, right?
Mm.
They are reward seeking, especially
Very
this
much,
generation, right? So they are
very
not
much.
readily, they don't want to take the advice which carries weight. I wouldn't put it carries weight, obviously, positive advice, definitely, but it is to the parents that how they put forward their advice. And that is where, if you see, that the very reason that why teenagers they dismiss the parental guidance and while
Because
readily
they get
accept.
that, the
Correct.
peers, they
Right,
accept the
right.
peers,
And they
because
readily
peers,
accept all suggestion from friends are saying good things. Social
yeah,
media influencers, right?
yeah,
They don't
exactly.
even know them.
Mm.
People they barely know,
They are
right?
the
Online
product of the
communities.
social media. They are
Absolutely,
basically the product
absolutely.
of the social media.
And that is where the parents, I think, they feel very left, left behind, and parents feel hurt, disconnected. They start wondering, right, that my child has become my enemy, right? That is
Ma'am,
the terminology that I generally
absolutely,
keep on
absolutely.
hearing.
They think that they are the enemies. And another thing which I have seen in the while dealing with the students in the school, the teachers play a very, very vital role over here.
Hmm.
Okay, so because the teachers, they are dealing with 40 different layered children in a single class. As a result of which, when they come to a particular child who is very reactive, roaming about, that means he's kinesthetic. He
There's
wants
something going
something
on.
which has to be, yes, his
Mm.
energy is there, but the energy has not been properly channelized.
Channeled, right?
So that has to be given, and that channelizing does not mean that you hand the gadget in the hand, you hand over the
Absolutely.
gadget. You can do this by some friendly talks, by giving them some, you will see that they will calm down immediately. But what happens, the teachers keep on changing after 40 minutes, 40
Hmm.
minutes period, the teachers change, and then they carry this turbulence of their mind. First of all, they enter the school with a turbulent mind. When they enter the class, though they initially they think that they will be putting their calmness, but after first or second period, their turbulence goes to the optimum level, and when they switch on to the other class, that goes on, and when same reaction comes up from the second class, there also they show the same attitude. So
Absolutely.
I think, as an administrator of an institute, I think that the teachers should be the first counselor in the class. Then only
Absolutely,
they
can't
should.
agree more. Can't agree more, right? So, and I very well relate, even from this movie Tare Zameen Par, right,
Mm.
wherein this little kid, nobody understood him, not even his own parents, right?
Parents.
And every time that comparison kept on
And that
coming
is
in
another
with
thing.
the
That is
other students, with his
mm,
own brother, right?
mm,
So it was
mm,
now eventually the teacher, right, when he was put in that hostel, the teacher who came and tried to understand him, and that is where the whole transformation for the little kid started happening. So that is
mm.
where I come to my next question, actually. So, how do you think, and that because while the teachers definitely play an important role, the parents who are suddenly seeing that the child is getting withdrawn, right? The There is a big gap that is coming in between the parent and the child. So how can parents actually rebuild this trust without becoming too much controlling?
Well, this is called individuation, right? If we talk it in the sense of, I'm not a counselor, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
a psychologist, nobody, but when I'm dealing with the children, they have got a particular developmental stage which is known as individuation, the necessary, the healthy process of a teenager building an identity separate from their parents. After a particular age, a teenage wants the peers, they want the outside voices,
Mm-hmm.
because throughout their from their birth till their teenage till that period, they have got the love, and when they have entered the teenager, gradually they were having the rejection. There was a difference in the voice of the parents, whereas the outside boys was much more receptive. They were receptive towards
Comforting.
the outside boys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the to become and you have to give that space to the child, that he is becoming adult, right? The
True.
discomfort with the parents feel is real, I agree with it, but the process itself is not a warning sign. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
warning sign at all that the child is getting totally away from you. This is a new role which the child is playing. And for this generation, it is often an influencer, or the, you can say, the reel, the doom scrolling,
The
or a
external
neighborhood.
influence. The external
Yes,
influence is even more. They
yes.
have so much of exposure,
Yes.
actually.
And these figures feel psychologically safer. They are psychologically safer to
Mm-hmm.
them. Even if there is a teacher to whom, not only the friends, if there is a teacher, you will see few children, they don't stay at home, they come to. There are many instances, if I keep on saying, throughout my career, have come to through different instances. The child doesn't want to go home, he wants to be in the school. The reason behind it is he is being always compared, right? I'll come to
Mm-hmm.
that point later on, but they feel psychologically safer with their peers, right? So there is no such fear or disappointment which the parents should carry with them. The teenager is finding its own individuality. There is a mood swing. They want to be felt understood. They don't want any judgmental expression. Okay. And in a way, the worried parents' advice often doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
If the parents are worried, and if the parents are always having that particular, ticking them that you have to do this, you have to do that. In
Mm-hmm.
our days, we were doing this. We used to listen to the parents.
Because we did not have that
That time
external
has gone.
advisory, right? External influence,
Absolutely.
right? Our world was
So
limited to
parents
home
by
and school. Correct.
absolutely, and books, which is another
True.
one, which was
Mm-hmm.
a triggered. That was an accelerator to our prefrontal cortex, right? So
Mm-hmm.
here now the children have the total scenario has changed, and after COVID, it has changed
A lot.
much more. But I should
Absolutely.
say it is a positive sign. There are many positive signs also.
Mm-hmm.
So what I feel that for the parents, as you said, that the parents think that they are the enemy. The parents, by contrast, are associated with evaluation,
Mm-hmm.
expectation, and consequence, even when their intentions are loving.
Correct.
They
Correct.
are associated with evaluating, they are
Mm-hmm.
associated with expecting, they're associated with what are the, okay, in unit 1 you have got this, unit 2 you have got less. Always there is a digital comparison which the child is not able to accept.
Mm-hmm.
So, for rebuilding that trust, there should be a shift from correcting to curiosity. Ask where they have gone wrong. Why?
Right.
Okay, fine. You have gone wrong in this examination. Do better in the next. You can do it. This will boost up his career rather than you have done nothing. You did not study. You went with your friends for the party and this and that. All this crumbles him. This criticism they don't like. They can't take it. Okay. They have to have a very safe disclosure. A teenager just volunteers a positive note from the page. They cannot take negative. This teenager, Gen Z, we used to take the negative as our ego. That, okay, it has been said, we will prove it.
It was a
But they
challenge
are there.
for
It
us,
was a challenge.
right?
But now they are having that, they are already a challenged, emotionally they are challenged. So we cannot give that particular external challenge to them. So the influence and the influence should replace the control. It should not be the controlling, it should be the connectivity. You
Oh,
cannot
well said.
take the smartphone. You cannot out monitor a smartphone. But you have to give that the smartphone is given. I think this should be the change of the voice. I think you will be use it very judiciously.
Mm-hmm.
So
No,
the
I
change of
completely
the
agree.
voice.
Like it is very important that the right communication happens,
Hmm.
right? While the parents kind of the point of view of the parents, it is more to motivate, but the teenager is often taking it as a criticism, right?
Hmm.
The parents may ask out of concern, anything to the child, but the teenager perceives it as a pressure, just because the words we choose, our tone, and even the questioning style, that actually dramatically influences how conversations unfold, right? Whether the
Absolutely.
child gets withdrawn or the child
Hmm.
comes very close. So that is where I believe you can throw some more light in what kind of research is happening in communication psychology and neuro linguistic programming, right? And how do such principles of positive communication actually help parents to reduce conflict and create more healthier conversation and closeness with the teenagers?
Okay, neurolinguistic, this particular principles which offer parents three practical uh, tools, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first one is reframing. Instead of naming a teenager lazy, he's very disrespectful. Sometimes it happens that the parents often tell it in front of the PTMs. Oh my
Correct.
God, that is another pressure, additional pressure. First of all, they have done, there was a pressure of academics and sat for the examination, and maybe or may not be, they have scored good marks or whatever marks they have scored. So that pressure they are carrying. And then they are being dragged to the PTM. And then in the PTM, it is the teacher who is saying about the child. And then the parents. So can you imagine the three
And then in
pressures are
front of all
working?
other parents and students who are
Yes.
sitting at the
So,
back, maybe even if
yes,
at a
they are also
part, they are
listening.
also they are also listening,
They are
right?
getting very very embarrassed. So that is
Correct.
the
True.
reason I had also given taken a session with the CBSE teachers, that you just give you say RIP to PTM. PTM is not the place where a child will be seen that what he has performed.
Mm-hmm.
It is the STM, that is the student teacher meeting, one to one.
Correct.
You cannot, even if it is a parent teacher meeting,
It's
the
just a tick
student
mark.
teacher and the
The
parent,
PTM
yeah,
is just a tick mark these days,
right.
right?
So that is what there the children become very very, the three pistons are on their head, right? And then the parents start telling that they are very very disrespectful. They, sometimes what happens when a teacher is asking, what have you done, what, this is the answer. And immediately that triggers the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you speaking in this way? And then the conversation goes on, and the teacher thinks that he's very disrespectful. It happens with some
Correct.
teachers.
Correct.
It is not at all a impractical mode of saying, right? Secondly, which is there, that the rapport before request. You have to mirror the teenager's tone and pace, and listen carefully before you offer a solution. what he or she is asking. So this is the neural development. As I said, that the neural development, see, when a baby is in the mother's womb, what is the connection? It is the neural connection,
Neural connection.
right?
True, true.
And when the baby is coming out, it is with the neural development that the baby is understanding the environment. The linguistic part comes later on when when the environment starts speaking with the child, maybe after 1 or
Correct.
2 years. So the neural development controls the linguistic. If I am always being wired with some languages throughout, then that only becomes my that gets programmed in our brain.
Mm-hmm.
So that particular mirroring should be very, very clear. The language precision, replacing the absolute, and you cannot tell a child that you never listen to me. You always say I will do this, but you don't do it. No, this is an acquisition to the I should say acquisitory language towards the
Mm-hmm.
child. So the parents has to use the single letter tone I think you are worried, and if you are
Mm-hmm.
not very comfortable at this hour, let me decide. Let you decide when you are comfortable. I will be waiting for you to consult on this particular mode. That
Right.
gives a neural. The we are all having, nothing is coming to us through words. It is everything through waves. So
Correct.
these waves are being accumulated by the
Mm-hmm.
child.
No, no,
Right?
agree, agree. I
So
think this is a
so
very valid point
so
and
that
well
is
brought up.
what the change of the words, you change your mode of action. The
The
father is
same
coming
message,
late,
the same message can be
can be said
provided
in
in
a
a more
different.
subtle way. Right,
Huh.
right,
In Indian family, it is the mother who takes the full pain. I
right. Mm-hmm.
always say, and whatever goes wrong, whatever is there wrong, that is the mother who has to be,
She becomes the villain.
yeah, she is always penalized. And the father at the end of the day comes, I think fathers are there also. So they come and they only ask what happened today in the school, which exam was conducted. So I think we
Very
should shift our,
transactional, very
yes.
transactional.
So
Right.
I think we parents have to shift our mindset from this, asking the digital, though they are in the digital world, we have to change the digital code of our language.
No, absolutely, and that is where it is important, on spending. How much time are we spending and giving to them,
Exactly,
right? So that is
exactly.
very important. We are also doing our duty, and while
Hmm.
we appreciate that, it is not like the earlier setup
Hmm.
wherein our parents were only around us, right? Here, everybody, we also have our own day's job, but we have to balance between, bring in the right balance between both of them. But it is not always, I believe, the parents who are to be blamed, right? The children in some form, while for our own comfort, maybe someday when they were small we had given them the comfort of the smartphone and the digital device, introduction to this digital device, and now they are growing up in this world which is designed to compete their attention, right? All kind of smartphones, gaming platforms, social media, you name and it is there, any streaming content,
The
constant
thick of the. Hmm.
notifications, right? So there
Hmm.
is an environment of endless distraction.
Hmm.
So some level of distraction is fine. It is required and it is not always negative. There are a lot of positive things that they are gaining out of it. But parents are often struggling to determine, when screen usage is simply part of modern life and it is essential for them as part
Hmm.
of curriculum, or they are resorting to the screen time simply to avoid anything outside, right? They are resorting to this screen time because they find solace there. They find more of, emotional distress, right? So from social media and gaming to endless scrolling, instant gratification, distractions, everything is available today. So how do we as parents we identify when such distraction is normal, required, and it is a okay for the teenage as their behavior, versus
Hmm.
when it signals a deeper emotional or a psychological issue, because we cannot question them directly, right? So sometimes they are happy, they are scrolling, sometimes they are very sad, very stressed out, they are scrolling again, right? So how do we parents, distinguish between such teenage behaviors?
Okay. Very, very true, ma'am. This is a very, very important thing which we have to deal with because gradually we have to find out the solution. Yes, I
Absolutely.
do. I do agree with you that this reward seeking and instant gratification or in the social media, they are basically accelerating their screen time, accelerating their engagement in the screen time. Well, if the child is having a ordinary distraction, see, the first thing what he will do is he will withdraw. He will not have proper sleep. Sleeping
Mm-hmm.
hours will be very less. He will withdraw himself from some friendship, right? There will be
Correct.
mood swing.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? They will not do the school. They will not connect with the school. They will withdraw from the school also. Maybe some for some reason they will be saying, I've got a headache, I've got a stomach ache, and many more things. I've got a foot injury, whatever. They will be telling all these impromptu, what should I say, this type of excuses, huh,
Mm-hmm.
which are having, which there is a signal that there is something wrong
Sudden change.
within the child in
Sudden
the
change.
in the
Yeah.
yeah, when he is withdrawing from the school, so there is something wrong in the school environment with the students. Okay, maybe she or he was not comfortable, or maybe he or she has been embarrassed by the teacher or by the
Mm-hmm.
peers. Sometimes it happens that if there is every school by CBSE, it has been said that there should be a counselor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the child is being, marked, so and so from this class at this time, you have to go to the counselor. This is a wrong process. This is totally wrong. The
Mm-hmm.
psychologists are saying that in the research, they are saying that when you target the child and you ask the child to go for a counseling, that open up to a counselor, then he or she is tagged by the peers that, okay, you have got some problem. What is your
Correct.
problem? And
Mm-hmm.
in future, he or she will be more cocooned.
More
He or she will
withdrawn.
not, yeah, he will,
Absolutely.
she will, they will withdraw. So why, in not doing that, the child can let the child be open to the counselor, that anytime you feel like, you can come. And
Mm-hmm.
it has happened also that the children are coming to the child. If the child is withdrawing from that also, then it is concerning that he she
True.
initially she went to the counselor on his or her own, but now she is not going. She has been asked. Why? Because she is having some problem. And the children, the parents also say, उनका तो counseling कर रहा है, हम तो
Mm.
उसका counseling कर रहे हैं. But these are the wrong terms that parents are using.
Correct. Correct.
We cannot say, we are saying for the he is doing well, but we are trying to make much better to so that the better thing comes out from within. So this
Correct.
is more concern. Now, the second point which you said, that so these can be easily dealt by the school management system, by the home front, very easily. The mother or the parent can have a special discussion with the teacher at the end of the school or whatever time the school is giving. So that can be done. It cannot be taken to the higher extent.
Mm-hmm.
It can be dealt with. But when it comes very, very, it is very alarming. The time when the child is not answering to any of your questions. And
Correct.
every time the child is thinking that he or she, if he or she discloses, then he or she will be taken into a negative mode. It
There's
happens
nobody who
many a
understands.
times. Nobody is there to understand. Many a times it happens that the child is taking the name of going to school, and from school he or she goes somewhere else with her friend to pass the time. That is again very
Correct.
alarming.
Mm-hmm.
The parent comes to know from it, I mean, the child has gone somewhere which is not the parent is, we have got this type of calls. And when we came to know, we got the point that the child went to his mashi's place or his pishi's house, wherever, to have some, to breathe in,
No,
right?
no,
So the
absolutely. I think
sudden
they are
unexplained,
finding
uh,
somewhere, right, where they will not have this constant pressure. There's nobody who
pressure,
is watching them, so they are shying away.
exactly.
So that is
Another
where the
thing,
change of behavior is happening.
yes.
Correct.
And another thing is the unexplained drop in the academic performance.
Mm-hmm.
So child was doing better, all of a sudden there is a drop, right? And The alarming and the most alarming is self-harm.
Correct.
When the
Correct.
child is thinking that he or she is better nowhere, he or she
Hmm.
is good for nothing. Sometimes it happens that it comes out from the mouth, you're good for nothing. Now this particular term is very, very, very crucial. It's like a bullet being shot on the child.
Right.
So when the child is resorting on self harming, then you have to immediately give, don't wait and watch. Immediately you have to consult a professional counselor or a
Counselor.
professional psychologist or whoever. Or maybe he or she has totally, he was very loquacious, he was very, very talkative earlier, but now he has become very reticent. So
Mm-hmm.
that also very, very cool, very calm. All of a sudden, if
Right.
something
Right.
happens, all of a sudden there is a
It's
drastic
more
change.
about, to
Very
keep
much
very
concerned.
watchful, because we as parents, I think, we also need to accept this kind of a behavior, right?
Hmm,
Because
hmm.
we grew up in an environment where discipline and correction was, it was well taken, right?
Well
It was
taken, right?
considered the primary tool for shaping the behavior. But today it is, it should be taken as a greater awareness of emotional well-being, mental health. I think that is where we should, if we are not able to handle, rather than controlling, rather than correcting, we should seek for external counseling,
Absolutely.
external
That time only the
advice
extra.
before the signs of distress, or before that critical signal comes in, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they are basically, this Gen Z is more mental health literate. Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
They are the ones, before they can be considered as they are, they can easily understand what is going on within them. So
And
if that is not addressed,
that is where I think we you hear now nowadays from little children that
hmm,
I am in depression, right?
hmm,
This word, my God, this word is so much familiar with them, right? So I'm not liking this, and to an extent that even little kids, I think, kids of the age of 10, 11, I see them, and because everybody has access to the social media, I see them going to Gemini and asking question, Gemini, I'm not feeling well today. I don't have anybody to talk to. Can you be my friend? They are finding solace in these AI, who is actually not giving them the right advice. And the poor child, he does not even know that AI tool is just
it's just
mimicking
an
or
enabler.
impersonating that child, right? Child
Hmm.
situation, and trying to respond. That's so
And
correct.
on this context, I would like to tell you one thing. I cannot show the screen, but I cannot show it in the screen. There was a cartoon which had come that a child is showing a mushroom and asking the AI that, "Can I eat this mushroom?" And the mushroom, the AI said, "Yes, it is very delicious. You can eat it." The AI
Hmm.
has answered, and when
Correct.
the child ate the mushroom, the child had to go for RIP.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So these are the AI, artificial intelligence, is at the helm is the human intelligence that the child doesn't know.
That the
So
child
he
doesn't
is
know.
getting that particular attraction that if I go to Gemini, I will be getting my answer.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
at one case, just now you said about discipline, that nowadays it was discipline. Yes, discipline changes the behavior for a day. And for us, it was throughout our life. We were disciplined.
Correct. Correct.
And now for Gen Z, it is discipline along with counseling at home and at in school and at the professional level, which changes the pattern underneath and also made them make them know which one the moment is asking for.
True. True. Can't agree more.
So it's
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
ecosystem. You cannot say
Hmm.
that we can, this is separate, that is separate. So it's an ecosystem for bringing up this Gen Z, which is a very delicate and sensitive generation.
No, absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. Right.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think we are almost close to the hour. But yes, it was, I think throughout this conversation, we spoke about neuroscience, we spoke about communication, counseling, emotional well-being, and what is the right strategy or behavior for the parent, right? Yet most parents, they are not looking for perfection, right? They simply want a very nice and strong relation with their child, and the confidence that their child is fine, safe, they are doing the right thing during their critical phase, because that is also something you cannot ignore, right? While behavioral aspect is one thing, but they have to, they have to get ready for the next journey, right? So if there is one principle that that can help bridge this gap between the parent and teenagers, many would love to hear it. So if you could leave every parent of who is dealing with children who are in their adolescent years with one practical piece of advice that could transform their relationship with their teenager, with their child, what would it be, and why?
Well, for the parents, I would ask that do not expect always what your parents used to expect from you. Okay.
Hmm.
Praise the climb, the steps which the child is taking, not just the summit. A child who is only celebrated for the score learns to fear the exam more
Hmm.
than they learn to trust their own effort. So I would request, rather, I would ask the parents that you have to make sure that the child is growing in a very healthy environment. Do not let them manage their failure. Do not compare them with the siblings, with the neighbor neighborhood children and the other students. Just stop comparing. Rather, you just connect with them so that they can open up to you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this piece of advice. And I think we are now close to the hour. So with this, I'll open up the forum for some questions. I'm sure, our parents, adults, and teachers who all have joined us, they would have a lot of questions which is now going through their mind. So yes, let's see who has a question. You can just raise your hand, audience, if you have a question, and we can take that up. Yes, over to you, Shubhra. Yeah.
Yeah, so first of all, it was a very insightful discussion, I would say. And thank you, both the Dolas here for for initiating this wonderful discussion. So my question is not on the children's side, but more on the parent side. So we are basically habituated in the way we grew up, right? So what I mean, that we get all the advices that even you also mentioned, but it is very difficult to stop a habit. So, what do you think helps when we try to come out of that usual behavior that we are accustomed with and try to adopt this new way of parenting?
Well, that is a very, very tricky question, that how to change a habit, because we know
Yes.
that habits are not being changed. It is a very, it gets embedded in our vein. But Shubhra, one thing you have to be very, very particular that when you were small, that time you had a different type of toys to play, right? But
Right.
when you grew up, the toys also change. When you come to your academics also, the same history book which you were taught in class 1 or 2, the same history book the history subject you have been taught in class 9 and 10, but with a much more volume. It was much more voluminous, and it were much more heavy, right?
Right.
So yeah, so you have changed neurologically to accept that particular change in your academics, because you have to go forward. You have to go forward with this particular subject to score
Mhm.
your board examination. Am I right? Now, if that is the case in your neurological, and if you can give that for the for your particular subject, if that is there within you, then why can't this be within you, that you also give a neurological change in your mode of looking at your child, seeing, giving a space to the child, that yes, it is your time to grow. You accept the failure, you take the failure as your part. I cannot I cannot put my judgment on you. You have to do it. So you have got that neurological wiring within you. When it is for one side, these are your children, these are your assets. So why can't you do that for your? You can do it. If you try, you can do it. You have to be calm. You have to be more resilient, and you cannot be what should I say? Just now I said judgmental, to find out that okay, this was done, you at ছটার সময় তোমাকে পড়তে বসতেই হবে. No, you
Right.
cannot do that. If the child thinks that he will be sitting at 8 o'clock, then yes, but that does not mean the child will be going out of your control. No, the discipline should be there, but it should be in a very very soft manner, so that you can take the child in a way that if you sit at 8, it's fine, you can sit at 8, but if you start from 7 o'clock, as I said, the voice and the pattern should be changing. It should be it's 7, then you will get more time, then we can relax, we can talk, you can have TV time. You will see the child will be reacting in a different way. So you have to bring that. It's not only the neurological development which is taking place. You cannot say that we have become it is totally hard, we can't mold. We
It
can
needs
mold
an
ourselves with the
intentional effort.
environment. Yes, it is totally your way of looking at the child, and you have to give your mind that thought that I have to go with this. And you will
Right.
see, if you are tuned with them, if you dance on the put yourself in their shoes, they will listen to you, and they will come to your habit which you want, to
Right.
some extent, not totally.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we have got another question from Joyanto. Yes, Joyanto, go ahead, please. You may please unmute yourself. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, both the Dolas and Madam Bhattacharya. It is an excellent combination of neurological systems as well as educational systems and all this. So I must thank you for educating that one. And I totally agree. By the way, I'm much older than you guys. So I have 2 data points. So I have done all these things that you were telling. So I think teachers, they can guide the student much more than any parents can do. That is one thing. And I am in the US educational system, so I can share some of the things that Mrs. Bhattacharya, you can
Please, sir.
correlate better. What I think, I always tell that one, like as you said, Asian women or Indian women, mothers are more worried about that one. So my thing was to control my wife's helicopter mom, she will be following, okay, what they are doing and all, not on educational basis. But we trust our kids so much that they know exactly what to do, what not to do. And I think our parents, Indian parents, it may be that too much competition in the Indian market. I have seen this one for the Chinese kids also. Like they have to take optional subject which has to be some musical instrument, string instrument particularly. So they are perfect in piano, they're perfect in some banjo, they're perfect in some cello and all this. They have to do that one. That comes in their so-called inheritance. But I think our parents, Indian parents, they are more worried about the failure of the children than their success. Like we cannot accept the failure, and that puts them in a lot of pressure. I think parents' prefrontal cortex can be controlled. That may be a better thing. As you said, Mrs. Bhattacharya, that coming and asking why you did not do that one and all. The education things is very different. What you are telling now, 10th and 11th, with the new educational policy that NEP is coming, and that may be little bit relaxing in the sense people can move or choose even in the latter phase of the life. That is one thing. I can give you one example, particularly like I have 2 data points as I'm telling, my daughter and son. Daughter was 2 years ahead of son. So see, he has got all the notes. Not a single day he will open my daughter's note to get more marks.
Absolutely.
So that is the thing, and I liked it very much. In fact, I used to tell him, he says, no, then I will not learn anything. I need to learn this thing. So this thing has to come. into the system. That's what I feel. And
Absolutely.
and this
Absolutely agree with you.
another thing what you are suggesting, this parent teacher meeting, both of my kids, they have gone through the school, colleges. We never met them, to be honest with you, unless they do something and all. And the way they used to do, I'll tell you something that is called international matriculate system. My daughter is very good at math. So what they used to do in class 3 or 4, they'll identify few people, and they need to take them out, but not telling why they are taking out from the class, and giving them higher and higher courses, higher and higher math, or whoever is good at what. If somebody is good at painting, they'll give you some painting work. Very different kind of system. So that's where they got the interest, very different. But your analysis is perfectly at the point that you cannot call these guys for counseling, because that will degrade their status or standard, saying that, oh, he could not manage his own life or something. That will put them on a lot of pressure, absolutely a lot of pressure.
Yes, yes.
I think a lot of things goes on the parents, and particularly nowadays with the nuclear family, doesn't have much communication, doesn't have the more sharing and all these things, that does affect a lot.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's a completely different setup from the earlier days, the mindset of which we are in, right? So that is where the comparison comes in, because we want to impose what we have grown up with, right? Nowadays, the setup is completely different. Are we really able to give them that environment where we grew up, right? So it is not that. So I think the expectation somewhere must come to a balance.
Absolutely. And we think, I have my friends are there, both are doctor. They could not make their doctor in India. So they are very upset. And I, being an engineer, I wanted to have one of the kids maybe going to engineering. They got chances, but they will not do engineering. Baba, that's fine, but no. So they had
you have to give the space to their thoughts also.
Absolutely. We did not say, okay, that's fine. But it is a very good talk. It is late for me, but I wanted to listen how, as an educationist and Mrs. Bhattacharya, and so that is interesting. Dola, other Dola, madam, you are in TCS, so
yes,
you are working full time in TCS.
Yes, I am a full-time employee there. Yeah.
Okay.
So
that is good.
Yeah, thanks. So thank you, Jayanto, for that insight. And I think we are almost towards the end. And so as we come to the conclusion, I would really like to leave everyone with just one simple thought. I think a lot of discussions and good insights, but yes, we at some point we have to understand our kids, right? They don't expect the parents to be perfect. Definitely, they don't expect that their parents will have all the answers. But I think what they seek most is to be understood, to be accepted, even at a time when they are struggling to understand themselves.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
It is adolescence is not a problem, right? So we are not here to solve it, right? So it's a journey. I think
a journey.
We are also
it's
learning.
A part of the journey.
We are also learning. They are also learning. There is disagreement. There is a lot of emotional outburst. Every moment of silence, a young mind definitely they are searching for some identity, some confidence, some reassurance. So it is not that they are also always correct, right? And we are always wrong, right? So somewhere we have to find a right balance. We have to move a step back. They have to move a step forward. And that is how I think we all can succeed together. Yeah. So thank you everybody. And on behalf of AI Agile Synergy, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Ms. Bhattacharya. It were such valuable insights and really practical guidance that you came up with today. And thank you to everyone who joined us today and contributed in making this a very enriching conversation. I think let us stay safe, stay connected, and we look forward to welcoming you to our next AI Agile Synergy Fireside conversation. Have a wonderful day, and enjoy the match FIFA final today. Yeah.
Yes.
Have enough rest for the evening.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks.
ma'am. Thank you so much. Namaskar.